As some of you may know, I was recently in the U.S. Virgin Islands visiting family. During the course of my trip, I had the opportunity to survey the infamous island, Little St. James, otherwise known as Epsteins Island or Pedophile Island. It is rumored that this extremely private piece of real estate in the middle of the Caribbean Sea was the hub of a transnational sex trafficking ring. What we know for sure is that Jeffrey Epstein used the island to host some of the world's richest and most influential people, from tech industry moguls to renowned scientists, Hollywood stars, powerful politicians, and members of the British royal family. Some of these people, such as the late Stephen Hawking, attended conferences on the island, and others, such as Bill Clinton, were there for less intellectual reasons. Many of the guests who visited Little St. James were flown to the nearby island of St. Thomas on board one of the jets in Epstein's private fleet, including his Boeing 727, which the locals dubbed the Lolita Express, due to its frequent complement of underage girls, a nod to Vladimir Nabokov's erotic novel, Lolita, which is a story about a pedophile who kidnaps and repeatedly rapes a 12-year-old girl. Although it has not yet been proven in court, it is likely that, aside from using the underage girls to please his illustrious guests on his jet and island, Jeffrey Epstein was likely also filming the sexual encounters for blackmail material that he could use as leverage for political favors and as a kind of get-out-of-jail-free card in the event that he got caught, which is precisely what happened on the 6th of July, 2019, when he was apprehended by authorities in New York on charges of sex trafficking. The events that followed are now firmly grafted into the corpus of American pop culture. While awaiting trial in New York's Metropolitan Correctional Center, Epstein was allegedly found dead on the morning of August 10th. The cause of death was declared to be suicide by hanging. There were numerous irregularities surrounding the incident. Epstein had been placed in a special housing unit where he was supposed to have a cellmate at all times, and a guard checking in on him every 30 minutes. These procedures were not followed on the night of his death. Conveniently, the security cameras that had a view of his cell malfunctioned that same night and failed to record anything of worth. Due to these blatant irregularities and the high-profile individuals who would be implicated if he went to trial, many people immediately and logically assumed that Jeffrey Epstein did not, in fact, kill himself, but was murdered by those who needed to silence him. Indeed, it is safe to assume that to this day, the public at large does not believe the official narrative. In July of 2020, Epstein's longtime girlfriend and the supervisor of his sex trafficking operation, Ghislaine Maxwell, was arrested on charges of grooming minors for sexual abuse. She was subsequently found guilty on 5 out of the 6 charges and faces up to 65 years in prison if she receives the maximum sentence. The hope is that those high-profile individuals implicated with Epstein and Maxwell in the sexual abuse of minors will be named in the course of the trial and indicted. However, this scenario is unlikely, as the lead prosecutor in the case is none other than Maureen Comey, the daughter of James Comey, the disgraced former director of the FBI, who was instrumental in facilitating the Russia collusion hoax perpetrated by Hillary Clinton to destroy Donald Trump. It should not surprise us that Maxwell's trial has been overtly censored from the public, and that the federal judge overseeing the trial, Ellison Nathan, was just promoted to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals by President Biden and the Democrats in the Senate. It would seem that the foxes are guarding the henhouse. There is some doubt as to whether Jeffrey Epstein is actually dead. For all of his repugnant qualities, Epstein was by no means stupid. In fact, He seems to have been something of a financial genius, with an aptitude for mathematics. A person like that would have certainly calculated the risks of his criminal activities and formulated a plan to protect himself from prosecution and imprisonment, or worse. It is plausible, then, that Epstein had a dead man switch in place that would automatically trigger in the event of his untimely death. In other words, all those videos of high-profile people having sex with minors would suddenly flood the internet if he were murdered. It would not have been difficult to Photoshop the pictures of Epstein's dead body that circulated in the press after his alleged suicide, and then falsify the autopsy that followed. That's all child's play in this day and age. So with all of this in mind, it's worth pondering the question: is Jeffrey Epstein following in the footsteps of Adolf Hitler and living out the rest of his days reclining by the pool in some villa in the mountains of Argentina, or sailing his yacht off the coast of Brazil? A new name, a new passport, and a little plastic surgery is all that would be required to pull this off. The world will never know. One of the most bizarre things about Jeffrey Epstein was his infatuation with transhumanism and his dream of becoming post-human. Epstein was eager for the advancement of technologies that would enable him to genetically and cybernetically enhance his mind and body, and donated considerable sums of money to the cause. For example, the Jeffrey Epstein Foundation gave $100,000 to pay the salary of Ben Goertzel, vice chairman of the transhumanist organization Humanity Plus, and financed the OpenCog project, which developed software, quote, designed to give rise to human-equivalent artificial general intelligence. Aside from his many contributions to transhumanist scientists and organizations, he was also in the process of creating a eugenics breeding program at his sprawling ranch in New Mexico, reminiscent of Hitler's Lebensborn program, and perhaps inspired by the same. Epstein planned to inseminate 20 women at a time on the ranch in order to breed a superior stock of Homo sapien. He intended to invite some of the world's most celebrated academics to participate in the program. Epstein's contempt for the common, unwashed masses of humanity was apparent to all. During a conference at Harvard University, he had reportedly criticized efforts to reduce starvation and provide health care to the poor, because doing so increased the risk of overpopulation. In many ways, Jeffrey Epstein is a fitting representative of the globalist elite. His pedophilic desires, his transhumanist aspirations, and his passion for depopulation seem to be shared by many of our political leaders, who are working toward the establishment of a totalitarian new world order and a post-human paradigm. We will be exposing the agenda of these transhumanist technocrats at the upcoming Birthright Conference in Nashville, Tennessee, taking place from the 6th through the 7th of May. The conference will cover topics related to transhumanism, aliens, UFOs, and Bible prophecy, and will feature presentations from myself, Joe Allen, Gary Haven, and Mancow Mueller, with special guest appearances by Nate Henry and Luke Rogers from the Blurry Creatures podcast. After hearing from many of you who are concerned about the rising gas prices in the Biden economy, we have decided to provide a massive discount to the ticket price of the conference to help with your travel expenses. By applying the promo code BRANDON in all uppercase letters when you purchase your tickets on our website, you will receive a $40 discount at checkout. If you've already purchased a general admission ticket, you will be receiving an email providing an opportunity to get a $40 rebate. Nashville is a beautiful city to visit in May and completely mask-free. So come and spend the weekend with us at this exciting event. You can find the link to purchase tickets to the conference in the description of this video or on my website, timothyalberino.com. Amazon.com. And if you haven't done so already, pick up a copy of my 5-star best-selling book, Birthright, on Amazon.com.